We're gonna do a song that you never heard before. The volume.
Hear the drummer get wicked. Here we go again.
Hey, another mother. What's happening?
What's going on, bro?
Hey man, I'm keeping my eye out here on these elections. It was kind of interesting, man. I went to go hoop today, and while I was out, man, I saw a bunch of folks that were out, kind of trying to make sure people were out voting. They were active though, man, even down to the last, to the last wire though, man. So I'm hoping that I think that with all of the eyes that are on Georgia right now, man, I fully suspect that this will be one of those where they'll try to recount and re-audit every single vote though, man. So, but I thought that it was just interesting that I saw a bunch of people that were just kind of out and about, just still walking, different neighborhoods and different parts of my area. Because we got 3 voting polls around within probably 2 to 3 miles of my house though, man. So it's real cool to see that people are still trying to, actively get people to get on out and vote, man. Real dope.
That is dope. And I know on a less important note, I know you're ready for this election to be over so you can get your mail back.
Oh my gosh, man. Listen, I'm talking about for the last month and a half, probably about 70% of my mail has been voting advertisement. And I think that what's crazy is that they know that, everything is public records once you voted, right? And people can go and tell when it, so that's how I think they know who they're targeting, because it's like once you vote Democratic, or you vote Republican, then you're kind of targeted with mailing campaigns with the Georgia Republican Convention, the Democratic, the Georgia. And so it's all these other things. So one time somebody came by the door and I had already voted early. I voted probably maybe a month ago almost. One of the first, and not a month ago. The first time we had the early vote, and I voted that week. So probably like the week afterwards, they came by. They was like, yes, Mrs. Venus around. Is she planning to vote anytime soon? I'm like, how y'all know she didn't vote? They was like, oh, it's public records. They keep up with that kind of stuff though, bro. So I was like, yo, they on top of it though, man. They've spent, listen, I've never seen, I don't recall seeing them be as aggressive. This time they've been over the top. They must be putting some money into this thing though, bro.
That's good, man. This is a historical election all the way around. Obviously we'll get into some other, election news here in a minute, but it's one of those things. This isn't a historical thing. And so I'm glad that the Democrats out there are doing whatever they can to try to get this vote in that direction.
Let me tell you the thing that I can appreciate, right? And not so I've always thought that Republicans, right, when it comes to politics, when it comes to campaigning, I've always thought that they go straight for the nuts, right? They don't hold back nothing. They go low blows and they keep going. It's almost like if they was in a fight, right? And all of their punches is cheap shot, all low blows. They don't care, right? I think that one of the things that's been kind of interesting about this is that the runoff has been John Ossoff versus David Perdue, Kelly Loeffler versus Raphael Warnock. Now, what I think is dope about this, though, right, is that Raphael Warnock, he is really, so Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler, they're not politicians, right? Not career-long politicians. David Perdue isn't a politician. He's just a billionaire. He got bread, right? He ran and got formally elected. Well, Kelly Loeffler isn't a politician. She was appointed. Nobody voted for her before, right? I'm assuming she contributed some money to some Republican campaigns Once old dude retired, they just appointed her that. So this is the first time that she's actually gone through an election. And I think that we talked about this, that what makes Georgia unique from other states is that in Georgia, in order for you to just flat out win, you have to get 50% of the vote. If you don't get 50%, it becomes a runoff, right? So I think that what makes this particular one interesting is the dynamics of this particular of the candidates, right? Because they're pitting David Perdue, older white liberal Republican, versus this new upstart from the Barack Obama. He was, co-signed by John Lewis, and he's from that cut, young white guy, right? Polar opposites. And then you also have Kelly Loeffler, Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock is a reverend from Ebenezer Baptist, Martin Luther King's church. Kelly Loeffler, billionaire chick. She apparently is one of the ones who's been helping a lot of these people hide money. She got long bread. And then not just that, female running, black man run, like everything about these particular candidates couldn't be any more of the opposite, bro. And I think that one of the things that's kind of interesting to me is watching this. Like I'm talking about, like out here, every time you see it, like every channel I watch, if I'm watching USA, ESPN, TNT, whatever it is I'm watching, whenever there's a big break, you'll hear you'll see Raphael Warnock. Hey, Georgia, I want you to vote for me because I think we can do blah, 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 blah. As soon as that commercial go off, don't run for Raphael Warnock. He'll do blah, 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 blah. And then the same thing, John Ossoff comes on out there, and then he has his thing. And then right after his, they're like, don't vote for John Ossoff. He took this money from blah, 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 blah. So it's crazy, bro, that how I'm seeing, though, that the Democrats are going low. I don't think I remember seeing the Democrats go with these kind of low blows, and not just low blows. They're facts, but they're going there, though. Like they are really smearing Republicans. And I think that it's primarily because these two candidates, the opportunities to do it is there, but the stakes are also there to do it, though, man. So it's been interesting, though, man. But that's been Georgia for maybe the last 2 months, has really been, in your mail, in your phone. I get text messages. I get this, that, and the other. And everybody's looking to say, why you should vote for this person, why you shouldn't vote for that person. And so it's interesting. I think that the funny thing about it, to be quite honest with you, is I don't see David Perdue or Kelly Loeffler basically telling you why you should vote for them, like what they're going to do, initiatives that they have in mind. I've never, in 2 months, I haven't heard them say what they're going to do. I've only heard them say, don't vote for them. Not vote for me for whatever reason. It's like, vote for me so that you don't have to vote for them. And I'm just like, nah, I'm cool on that, Slick.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the country is watching because, big implications from this particular election. So
very big, very big.
But in other election news, what's going on with 45?
Oh man, so here's the other thing too. So this around Georgia, right? Because 45 was out here campaigning as recently as yesterday, I think, and so is Jovante Biden out here. President-elect, right? So just a couple of days ago, one of the things that's been hot topic around here, I want to get your opinion on this too, because so 45 makes a call out to the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is the one who certifies the election out here, yeah. Right? 45 is basically hitting him on up, and he is basically giving him if it was in person, it was almost like a wink kind of conversation. Like, yeah, bro, I'm going to need you to go ahead and find me 11,000 votes. Wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, there's other states where, well, we're having them audited. We're contesting these, and they're coming around to it as well. I can do a lot for you. And he is basically at the lowest of the lowest in desperation, trying to plead with the Secretary of State to find him these votes, basically, right? So there's all these. So CNN had an article where, if you want to look at it, it was the most outrageous 39 lines from this conversation. That's just outrageous. But I got a question for you, Ace Kennedy.
What's up?
The Secretary of State. Now, mind you, in Georgia, for the last couple of elections, it's been for the governor. It's almost like if you were the governor and then you were the Secretary of State. Like Brian Kemp is the governor. He was the Secretary of State previously. And so in all actuality, when you're the Secretary of State, that puts you in pretty good running if you want to be governor, basically, though, right? So 45 says, hey, and one of his things, basically, my endorsement for you can go a long way. He says, look at Brian Kemp. He was just a schmuck, literally calls him a schmuck, says he was just a schmuck. And before we know, when I endorsed him, he got elected. So he's go ahead and doing this wink, wink kind of deal, like basically saying, listen, man, I can make you governor if you find me these votes.
Yeah.
All the while, Secretary of State is recording this conversation. So Ace Kennedy.
Yeah.
Does this make him some kind of patriot for democracy for recording this conversation? What are your thoughts on the fact that he was mindful enough to record him?
Here's the thing. It's the means outweighed the cause, like meaning that it's illegal to record someone without telling them you're recording them. Okay.
True.
But at the same token, had he not recorded them, this is what he would have missed out on. The thing is that it has come to a point that with this particular president that you have to cover yourself, because a lot of times the conversations that happen aren't really happening, and the things that he says is within those conversations isn't actually there. So when you have somebody recorded, you can't then say, oh no, this never happened, because it was recorded. Right. So for that sense, I think people are forgiving the fact of, it was illegal for you to record it because you didn't let him know that he was being recorded. But at the same token, he was covering his own self, because I don't think anybody would have believed him. Like, this is what he asked me. This is what, it's he said versus he said.
Yes.
So he's covering himself.
So that is my thing too. I think that so it's one thing that you recorded it, right? You could have recorded and kept that one in your back pocket, right? And said, you know what? If you get out of pocket, you're going to make me crack it just in case of emergencies, right? I think, though, that when I look at this, I think that it's a matter of him protecting his own image, because, the same way how 45 said, hey, I co-signed Brian Kemp, who was the schmuck, and got him elected, that holds some kind of weight. So at the same way, him not endorsing you would hold some kind of weight as well. So I think that he did it not necessarily to say, oh, I'm a patriot, this was wrong, look at this president trying to get me to just fabricate some votes or break the law. I don't think that it was about him being a patriot for democracy or a champion to the republic. I think that he was really covering his own tail, but I think that on top of covering his own tail, it was protecting his own image as well.
Yeah, it was important for him to do that. And like I said, given the entire presidency, it was a valid point for him to make sure that call was recorded, because other folks have gotten in trouble for the conversations that have happened amongst them and the president. So, and that's not the first time he was recorded. So, him and his phone calls, bro, he just very reckless.
I don't get why. What I don't understand. I don't understand. Maybe it's the power, right? But if you've been recorded before and you are going to do something that could be perceived as illegal, why would you be the one placing that call?
Because again, he is Donald Trump, and he thinks he's above
the law.
So again, if he hasn't been caught yet, why? Like, it ain't for trying, not for trying. You know what I'm saying? So at this, I mean, it is what it is, man.
Lord. So listen, let me ask you this. We're talking about law. Sadly to report. So last summer, Jacob Blake getting into this argument with his peoples, right? Police is there. This man walks over to his car. Police fires how many shots? 6, 7 shots in this man back. Left him paralyzed, right? Shoots him in front of his kids, right? I was devastated because everybody looked at this like this is way excessive use of force. And I think that it was just another one of those examples of where when people say, no, you went too far. Now, mind you, just last week, Tamir Rice, this was years ago, Tamir Rice, 11, 12-year-old kid, gunned down by the police because he had I think he had a fake gun or something like that. They thought he had a gun. Gunned this little boy down, right? These police officers face no charge. Today, about an hour ago, Kenosha police announced, or the Kenosha, whoever the attorney general is in that area, announced no charges against these officers. Ace Kennedy. Do we expect anything differently at this point, though, bro?
We absolutely don't expect anything more than this. Again, we haven't had any examples showing us any differently. You know, even when it came to Breonna Taylor and her case, and you know, looking at the outcome of that, why would we expect something any different? Clearly, they cared more about a wall than they did for the young lady's life. And so now we look. This is a black male who was murdered. I mean, was shot up like that. So it's like, you know, no, I didn't expect anything less than this.
I think that this is the thing that I am blown away by, because I fully expect for this man's family to win some kind of big civil lawsuit, right? I mean, that's just what typically happens. Being Crump, he comes in and he prosecutes, and he gets all these families, you know, getting everybody's family paid in civil suits. But there's never been a time that I've seen that I can think of where the actual officer is tried and convicted of murder, assault, or the obvious, right? I've never seen where that's actually happened. And so my thing is that until that happens, right? Until something like that happens, I think that the expectation will always be, right? You think about that. If let's take it way back to the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
If all those police officers can be on video beating Rodney King within an inch of his life, and they're found not guilty, no charges, no nothing, he gets a civil suit, then almost like that kind of set the precedent of what can be captured on film, and then people get off. And so every other time after that, that's the norm. And it's one of those things, bro, that where I think that police officers will always have this badge and this assumption that everything was in the line of duty, though, bro. I was disgusted when I saw, to be quite honest. I mean, I was just completely disgusted, sick to my stomach, though, bro. It's like I'm sick of them getting off the same way that I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm just sick of the whole notion of especially young black men, but young black women as well. But I'm sick of seeing these police officers kill people and not be held accountable for it in the court of law the same way that a person would, though, bro. It really makes me sick to my stomach, though, bro.
Yeah, the complete disrespect for life when it comes to black and brown people, people of color, minorities, whatever you want to call it, is just, like you said, it's nothing. It's sickening. And unfortunately, we just have to keep fighting and keep pushing, hoping for people to understand what it truly means when we say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. This was one of those ones. I mean, like I said, that this summer, was a powder keg, bro. It was, I mean, it was so much. And like I said, the biggest thing, bro, is that, everybody was at home, right? Everybody saw it. Everybody was, with the exception of Florida, who was bucking the system, and they was Texas as well. They got up there and went raw dog out here in these COVID streets. But they get out here though, man. But everybody was home to see this. Everybody saw it though, man. And I think that is the most disappointing thing. Not surprised, but still disappointing the most, though, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sad, very sad. But I prayers definitely, thoughts go out to that man still, his family. He is alive. He is still paralyzed. But golly, man, I don't know. Anywho. Spoiler alert. Let's talk about some power, bro. Let's talk about some power. Oh, we got a lot of things to get into. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now that if you did not watch Power, just walk away because we about to talk about it.
Wait a minute, get into it.
Let me give you 5 seconds. Let's give him 5 seconds.
Spoilers up.
Okay, let's go. We gave y'all time to walk away. Listen, Ace Kennedy.
What's up?
Give me your highs, lows. Give me the good, bad, the ugly for Power.
All right. So the good, well, let's start with the bad first. The bad for me is I don't care about Tyreek's character. That's so it took me a while to even get into it. And then when I actually did start watching, it took me a minute to get used to this new format of seeing them at school and seeing him trying to juggle stuff and seeing him trying to be this, drug lord kingpin that they've built him up to be in the first season of Power, in the first book of Power. So finally getting past all of that and finally getting back into the groove of watching Power again, I fell into it, especially the second half. Once we had that break and the second half came in, it started to get interesting again. And so I was able to watch those last couple of episodes in the same day. And I'm gonna say the other things that were bad for me is the plot holes of things that happened. Like just to get to advance to the next part, I felt with as creative as the writers are and how consistent they've been with the stories, primarily in Power Book 1, I was expecting them to keep that same attention to detail when it comes to the story and the plot. And so one of the big sore thumbs for me that really just didn't make sense. And there's if I went back and rewatched it, I could point out others, but the big one that sticks with me right off the cuff is I can't think of the young man that's in Mary J's family, the not Kane, but the other one.
Yeah.
So they're in the middle of a shootout, and these dudes are shooting M16s, Uzis, rocket launchers. Somebody got a Gatling gun, and he says, "Oh, let me go get my gun." So you really just gonna stand up in the middle of this firefight where they is dumping everything that they had. Drew, thank you.
Drew,
thank you.
Drew.
Yeah. So Drew gets up in the middle of this fight and gets popped, and I'm just like, so
he stands up and gets shot immediately. He takes 2 steps, bye, right? It didn't take him long for that stupidity to pay off.
Yeah, that right there was the bad for me. Like, and there's, like I said, there's other examples that if I really thought about it, I could give, but that's the biggest one that pops off to me. The other thing, the good is the story actually got better. I still feel the same way that I felt about Tyreek, so I'm cool with that. And I liked seeing Tommy, just for him to make a cameo.
Right.
I liked Method Man a lot. I liked Sax a lot, even though I don't like Sax as a character. I'm saying I liked how they still treated him the same in this, regardless of his his position or whatever, they still treated him the same. So I felt like the character was consistent. And overall, it was enjoyable to watch. Did it have flaws? Absolutely. Could it have been better? Absolutely. But definitely there was just a lot of stuff that was just like, okay, y'all ain't even, this serves no purpose for the story. Y'all just put this in here for pure entertainment purposes. But overall, if I had to rate the season from 1 to 10, it was a 6.5 to 7. It was
6.5.
Yeah.
That's
like
kind of
6.5 to 7.
7. I could see 7.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the part that my perspective is different.
Okay.
Little things to me matter. Number one thing to me, dog, I absolutely hated Zeke, bro. I hate the faces he make, bro. He's always like, don't know, man. You know, I knew I shouldn't have introduced you to my man. I don't know what Monet not gonna think about that. And everything he always talks like, you know, man, you know. You finish that paper? I don't know, man. You know how clean be. And I was like, oh my God, everything about it it drove me insane. The faces that he make, and I thought that I understand that he was the jock. I didn't think that he was gonna be the dumb jock, but he just seemed to be like, you know who he reminds me of, bro? That is what it is. He reminds me of Waldo from Family Matters, bro. I couldn't figure out until right now. He is a big, tall Waldo. You remember on the intro of Family Matters, and when they showing everybody's faces, and they got Eddie Winslow, and he turns around and he ain't looking at the camera. He turned around like, oh, there you go. And Waldo is standing there, and somebody throws the basketball and then bangs Waldo in the head. And he's like, oh, that is Zeke to me. It's Terry. He is like a big Waldo, bro. So that was a thing that I was just, and his all of the facial expressions were on full effect on this last episode, bro. So that was number one. The thing that the thing that I was just like, no. I'm not going to even sit there and talk about when people say they didn't like Mary's acting, right? Because I was okay with Mary's acting.
I liked Mary. I
can see why some people had issue with it. There were some times where I thought that Mary was like, I thought that she was playing what the role called for.
Listen.
But when I saw her walk up to Rico, looking like she was about to step on Crouching Tiger's hidden dragon with that wig, bro, I was like, no, not Mary too, though, bro. Mary's wigs have been flawless. I've only seen Mary with the dopest wigs. And then I see her coming out looking like she's about to start talking, and I don't see that. I thought Mary's mouth was going to be talking, and I wasn't going to hear words from the dub. It was that bad to me, bro. I was crushed. I was so crushed. Now, like, not Mary though, bro.
Well, I thought her acting was better than her live singing. So I'm definitely
listen, man. Listen. What? We ain't gonna be talking about it. The Mary slander is going out the window. Listen, okay, so that was one thing. So here's the thing that I also thought that the professor, the dude Jabari, though, I thought that he was a sucker from day one.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, listen, bro. How you get shot by somebody who you didn't know, and then by somebody who you was just trying to help, though, bro. That just tells me that
he wasn't trying to help him. He was trying to help himself. That's all
he was trying to help himself, though, bro. I thought everything about what he did through the whole series. Because think about this, though, right? So you went, for starters, right? You smashing your not just student, but your little teacher assistant, right?
Right.
And she thinks the world of you because at one point you wrote this dope book, and even though you're technically a boss, you smash. I'm gonna let that slide, right? I'm gonna let you slide on that one. But when he followed Drew I was just like, bro, and he's writing stuff down. That was one. When he thought that she was smashing Tyreek, I was like, bro, really? And then
there was no even hints of that at all.
no, bro. I was like, where are you getting that from? Right. And so that was one of the things. And I think the thing that also topped it was when he started to just completely plagiarize the boy Tyreek. And I'm thinking, like, listen, bro, Tyreek is 16 years old on here. You mean to tell me that you wrote a prize-winning book before your follow-up was weak, and you can't just come up with stop playing? Like, he seemed to me like he was just a grade A sucker from day one. And it was almost like I don't know that I was necessarily expecting him to die this season, but I was okay with it.
Listen, it didn't bother me at all. It would have made more sense for Drew to die than, like, if they were trying to have somebody of impact. At least you had some sort of concern about Drew. Whatever. There was some sort of concern, but like you said, Jabari, waste of space. And hey, I kudos to the actor, because I couldn't stand his character, and that was how he played it.
Here's the other thing. I think that subconsciously he made me not hate Tyreek the way I did on the previous Powers.
This is true.
I hated Tyreek. I hated him so bad, right? That this made him tolerable, right? But listen, but there's so many blatant parallels to Power, right? With Ghost, in that, all right, his best friend's a white kid like Tommy. He got a Spanish girl, he got a black girl. That's the same thing as Tasha and an old girl, right?
Yeah, the girl ain't Spanish though, bro.
She looks Spanish though, man. You know what I'm talking about. She do got that is it. With light skin, close. She looked like she got some.
Both her parents was black, bro.
Yeah, but that's for this movie though. She looked like she got a little Spanish in her though.
I understand what you're saying though.
She might be Dominican or something though, bro. But anyway,
light skin, bro.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. But they got but overall though, lots of parallels. Like Kanan, right?
Why Kane reminded me of Meek Mill the whole time, bro.
I don't know. Oh, listen, tell me why. When I went to the park today, I was hooping, and there was a dude who looked like him, and he was wearing. Listen, he came up there to the park, right? And he came there playing in the Jordans, the blue. What is the Laneys, right? The blue ones with the yellow, right? And they were like a suede color, right? He comes up there, has a suede blue, royal blue wave cap to match his J's, right? He has on a black jogging suit that looks like it was like, I don't know what the brand was, but it was matching. He came there matching to the T. He was out there balling with his chain on and was terrible, though. I mean, he was so sorry. But we was calling him that. And I'd never seen him before. But if I ever see him again, we start calling him Kane. So he's Kane for the rest of the time he ever comes out to the park, though, bro. But lots of parallels to it, and I don't know if I necessarily like that or not. I'm still trying to decide, though, bro.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What was that?
The positive, right, is I thought that it was epic when Tommy came, and I think that the part that I liked the most is the fact that you didn't see him; you saw the car first, and you knew. Dang! So when I saw the car, me and Neek watching, I looked back at her like, oh, snap. That was dope. That's why I say the little things, because it'd be one thing if they just showed Tommy pull up, pop, 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 pop. But I think it's another, the fact that you saw the car speeding off, and that was dope. I thought that the police chase part and him blowing up and everything like that, like, and when he said he got his molars pulled to do it, and it was like the next day, I remember you having to get your wisdoms pulled. I thought about you when this happened, because he said I had to get my molars pulled, and he's talking regular. I remember at Free Zone, you had to get your wisdoms pulled and you still danced, but your face was all the way round. So you had the towel over your face most of the time. And you wasn't out there just talking regular like Tommy was, though, bro. I don't know why I immediately thought about you in Free Zone when I saw that happen, though, bro.
Like I told you, plot holes, like just stuff that they just trying to do everything they can to. And the thing is that I don't know if each show has its own set of writers or if they're just coming up with this entire story. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge undertaking for it to be, Game of Thrones ish, to have like this power cinematic universe like they the MCU.
Yeah, that's dope.
So it's a huge undertaking, and I think it's dope. But at the same time, they have got to really work on these attention to details. Like you said, that's something where like nobody else probably caught that. But then it's like probably like, but if 100 people out of 10,000 catch it, okay.
Let me tell you one thing. So let me tell you this. These are the kind of details I look for. So I was talking about the girl Mary and Mary's wig. I don't know what it is about wigs, bro. It's like if I must see you wearing a wig, I want you to fool me. I just thought that the point of wearing a wig is so that it looks like that could be your hair, right? And so I'm looking here, even at Tasha's, right? When she's talking to Mary J. And at first I was almost distracted by Mary J's wig that I didn't catch. Tasha also had her stuff showing up in there. When you look at her part, the first thing I look at when I see girls with wigs is I look and see, do I see two hairlines, right? Do I see the hairline on your wig and the hairline from your regular hair? And then can I see where it's separated? And I saw that with hers, and I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't come out of the jail looking like you top modeling. And then when I look at the wig is no. Shout out to the natural girls that don't have to worry about that.
Well, the reason why I give her a pass though is because she's out. Who's doing her hair in jail? She basically just put that wig up on top, and she had 3 days to get her affairs in order. So I let her.
Man,
on that.
She got out. She got out of jail. Went to go see Monet. Different outfit. Wig still jacked. Like come on.
She had several outfits in jail. So I mean. I can't,
Hey, favorite scene though was no, I didn't see my mama at the club, but I saw you there with a gun in your hand. I was like, skirt. That was probably my favorite part of the whole thing, bro.
Yeah, I thought it was dope, and I thought it was even better that Tyreek chose not to let old girl come to the courthouse so she could, know any more information about him.
Right.
So I thought that was good cohesiveness, but. Just the whole thing, like, whether they're going to continue doing the app. Cause I'm thinking like you're not out of this stuff just because your mama's out of jail. Like you still owe 15% to this dude for making the app. You still owe Monet because now all of a sudden her whole entire
pipeline is going through you now.
I'm just like,
this is my thing, right? This is my thing. That is a good point. Because if you were a full-fledged illegal business, right, and you've been running it, now you meet Tyreek, you mean to tell me that everything now it's going to when Ghost and Tommy and them did it, they had different people. They had the boy, what's your man who went to jail? They had Trey. They had a bunch of different outlets, and like, come on, man. That was
though. And so my thing is maybe now that they got Kane back in the family, that he will bring back the streets business back to him. And, have they had that conversation, him and Monet? And, did Kane tell Monet, yeah, Tyreek is the one that, like, there's so many questions. But at the same time, I think that part of the story is done. I think we can move on to something else.
I think that, I think that it can be something else. I think that then there's going to be, the investigation, because they were already investigating on the campus. Now the professor who was helping them do the interviews gets killed. They're going to say, well, who did he interview? And so I think
they're going to read that book and then be like, okay, what is this? So,
right. So there's
things that can come off of it. I'm just saying that particular arc of Tasha getting out of jail should be done. And even the whole thing about trying to blame Tyreek or anybody else for like that all charges should be dropped on Tyreek and on Tasha because she's technically in witness protection.
I love that Tommy said, it don't matter. I'm gonna stay going at her. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna give her this hot one forever. Yeah. That's that. I love that. Oh, love also how he popped up. You know what I'm saying? And the boy Reek saw him, but Tasha didn't because her back was her. I thought that was fire though, bro. So yeah, like I said, little bitty things like that I enjoyed about it though, man. So
I am surprised we didn't get at least a cameo of Ghost.
I think that since he was the central figure of the entire Power series, it would have taken away from the strengthening of the other folks. And I think
you've already established that though in Power Book 1 that they got the Force Ghost like the Star Wars. So if that's the case, why not keep like you would at least like you said, he was what the story was about. You can't tell me that they didn't have a conversation like I respect why you did what you did, and you know something like maybe when he was drunk and kind of out of it at his grave, that would have been the perfect time. He was hallucinating anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. So let me ask you this. Let me switch because but I'm glad. Excellent series. I think that it's a good way. When you lose your central character and still continue with the series, I thought that there's always going to be different ways that you can go about doing it. I can at least respect and watch it all the way through like that. Let me get your opinion on this though, because I've seen some very unpopular. So one of the things that on Christmas, Wonder Woman 84 comes out, right? And it was, to much surprise, it came out on the HBO Max app. It came out in theaters as well. And it was going to be one of those big. Tenet was the only other big movie that I remember coming out in theaters. Wonder Woman was the other one, though, man.
We had Prudes. We had Monster Hunters with T.I. There were some other films that came out, but
these are the bigger ones, though.
So you trying to tell me Cruise wouldn't have been a big film had even not in COVID? Soul was another.
I'm talking about even still. I think of the movies that have came out, it's a DC movie, right? So you expect for it to be the bigger of the ones. But here's where I'm going with that though, right? A lot of opinions about the movie in itself. What do you say, Ace Kennedy, Mr. Marauders with the pop culture topics, and y'all be getting into these deep dive conversations into the DC universe?
Well, for me, like I posted on my anybody that follows me on Facebook, it was a 5 out of 10 for me. I love 5. I love Patty Jenkins. I think she's an incredible filmmaker. I think she's an incredible director and writer.
5?
Yeah, 5. A 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason, so for me,
5th,
I like the characters. I like the actors portraying the characters, but I did not like the plot. The plot was terrible. I mean, for me, they set up everything nicely with the, opening montage of young Gal Gadot and, establishing the whole thing of what the story was going to be about, hey, you got to live your truth. Like you can't cheat in order to be successful. You have to tell the truth. So I thought that was a cool message. I knew that was going to be what the story was about. So as soon as we saw Steve Trevor, then it was like, okay, we know where this is going. She's going to have to sacrifice him in order for her to accomplish whatever goal it was. But for me, both the villains had zero, like they didn't have any, the stakes weren't set with those two. Like the villains had nothing against Wonder Woman. Like it was almost like she was chasing them, but they had like no clue about her, even wanting anything. I mean, Barbara, yes. But even that whole thing, like in my opinion, I feel like they should have either stuck with one villain or the other. Having both of them in there didn't do anything. The CGI when she turned into the cheetah was terrible, which DC has a problem with CGI anyway. All this CGI is
Listen.
trash.
I can tell that I have been completely spoiled by Marvel because that would have never happened. She looked like the stage boss if they made a video game for cats. When you done beat all the cats, this is the stage boss for the video game. Like when she says she want to be something different, she want to be an apex predator. I would have been more impressed, bro, if she would have just turned into Randy Orton, bro. The apex predator.
Where did the tail come from? Like,
I don't know. She's a cat. This is my thing. When you say you want to be the apex predator, something different, and that's what you looking like. You looking like you fresh off of Wizard of Oz. Like, bro, stop it.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely didn't agree with that. So that's why half of it. That's why it's a 5, because I liked half of the movie. I liked elements of certain things, but I did not like other elements. And the fact that the main villain just says, "Oh, I just wish none of this ever happened," and then it's over, or he sees his son and now he wants to be dad of the year. Like, okay, nah, it was like, okay.
Let me tell you what I love about it. Okay. So here's one of the things that I think that's interesting, and this is probably going to sound very mannish when I say this, right? But one of the things that it reminded me of is how much I actually like looking at Gal Gadot. Like, I think that her face is absolutely gorgeous, and from a movie perspective, I can look at her face for 2.5 hours any day, right? I think that from a very mannish perspective, when guys say that they are into exotic women, she's what comes to mind to me when people say that she, like, I thought that when I saw her on Fast and Furious, she seems to be very much like the cookie cutter. If you like exotics, this is what it's supposed to look like to me. So when they were doing all the close-ups of her, the little things to me, like when she's flying and you see the hair blowing and all of these other things, I thought that was the thing that I liked the most, is that I like her face enough to have sat through 2.5 hours of seeing her, and I never got tired of her being Wonder Woman, right? That's one thing, right? I can totally see her and be perfectly fine with her in other, DC movies. I like her as Wonder Woman, right? I think that the part that got me the most was the lack of action in it, bro. Like, it just seems like what I was expecting is that even though this seems like, and keep me honest on the timeline, because this would have been well before she met Batman, them, right?
Yeah, because this was in the 80s.
84, right? So this would have, so I think the part that I'm almost, so okay. So here's the thing. She knew how, so I always wondered how they would do the invisible airplane, right? And then why they didn't do the invisible. And so when I saw that she knew this in 84, then my head initially thought, well, why didn't they do this on Justice League? Why she didn't have the invisible, why she didn't fly Ghost then? But that's one thing.
But because there was no purpose for that. When she was doing her business in Batman versus Superman, at that particular time, she was Gal Gadot. I mean, whatever, Diana Prince. And right. So from that aspect, she didn't need to do that. She was wealthy at that time. So she was kind of like on the same level almost as Bruce Wayne, the way she traveled and carried herself.
I can see that.
So
but then here's
no need.
But here's the thing, though. So I think, right, one of the things that I would have liked to have seen, I thought that, on Justice League, they had her as the thinker, right? She was the one who would be leading the charge, right? I think that one of the things that I would have liked to have seen is that, having seen her in that light before, and then even having seen her in the first Wonder Woman, I didn't get the whole Matrix 2 feel from her, where I saw everything that she was capable of. Like, I would have loved to have seen, I saw that though when she was a kid, and you saw what she had the potential of, right? But I just think that there was never a scene And this one where I was like, whoo, she got some hands. Like the fight scenes just weren't all of that to me. And that's the part that I was probably the most disappointing on.
I have to disagree with you, bro, for a couple of reasons. Number one, there were two different directors, so you're going to get a different take. That's just like you watching the MCU and seeing how those brothers directed something, and then seeing how Taika Waititi directed. And so the thing is that what you also have to understand is when you saw her back in Wonder Woman Part 1, that was in like World War I or World War II. So, and then you see her in 84. So she is going to be a thinker now because she's seen all this arts of war and things from the past. So she is going to, but the scene, what I was going to refer you to is in the beginning of Batman versus Superman or Justice League. She had the fight scene inside the museum.
Yeah, but I get that. But what I'm saying is I want to see her fighting solo in this movie like that. Not in Justice League, but I want to see her in this one whipping tail more. I get what you're saying, though.
So the scene when they were in the desert, that wasn't enough for you?
No, it wasn't enough for me. Like on Matrix, think about that though, man. Like on Matrix 2, Neo was like, you knew that Neo was the coldest of the coldest, right?
I agree that Wonder Woman 84 lacked action. I do agree with that. But again, that goes to the 5%. That goes to that 5 mark that I didn't like. There was a bunch of aspects that I didn't like about that.
Let me tell you what I think. Let me tell you what I would have wanted to see. I would have wanted to see her punch somebody in the face and it left her fist print in their head. Like, dude, give me something like that. Give me something that's extreme enough for me to know how powerful she really is on raw ability. I understand that she's a thinker and she's the leader and all that other stuff, though, man. But I just want to see raw skills. Like I've seen you fight before. Just like on Matrix 1, you saw what he could be, right? And so then on 2 and 3, you saw him go next level where you thought, oh, he's clearly the coldest walking. I want to see her just be the it's like on Superman. I thought they did an excellent job on with Henry Cavill as Superman, with them showing, all right, this is him trying to figure it out. All right, now you know he the coldest because he can do this, that, and that. Like I didn't get that from it. Like I think maybe that's to come. I would like to see
difference of directors. I 100% get what you're saying. The consistency, at least with when we watch Marvel movies, pretty much everybody has the same. Like I thought that T'Challa was the same in Civil War that he was in Black Panther, that he was in Infinity War and Endgame. So but that's the see, this is the part where DC has already admitted that they can't sustain, right? Everybody came out trying to beat the MCU. You had the monster vision where they were going to do all of the monster movies, and they were trying to do like their monster cinematic universe, and that fell apart. DC tried to do it, and then people didn't like Justice League. People didn't like Batman versus Superman, so that fell apart, which is how we got the Joker movie, how we got Shazam, how we got now we getting the Batman. Like those don't intertwine with the DC cinematic universe. Those are just DC movies. And so the thing is that is an issue that they are going to have to work on, is the consistency of characters even when they switch directors, again, that's a valid, very, very valid.
Like here's a perfect example, right? So like so Black Widow is Black Widow code in every movie, right? Who else? You know what the boy the Winter Soldier is capable of doing. And then even on the fight scenes, you might see him do something differently and everything like that. But you know, he cold enough to where even though I didn't see it before, I could do it. What's my dude?
But the difference with Winter Soldier, though, is unfortunately he's worked with the same, like the Russo brothers has been directing Winter Soldier, Civil War, in Endgame.
I get that. But here's the thing. What's my dude name? I was just had his name on with the bow and arrows, right?
Hawkeye.
So Hawkeye, Like the thing that got me the most, like this is the thing that I can appreciate about Marvel is the consistency. When he was supposed to retire, right? On what, not Age of Ultron, but not before, what's the one before Endgame?
Infinity War.
Infinity War. No, it was Civil War. It was Civil War. When they said, "Hey, didn't you retire?" He said, "Yeah, I was playing golf and hit all 12 rounds or whatever." Like that was one of those things where it's consistent with who he is. So I'd imagine, right, that when you see a movie with him, and let's just say the movie was before he joined with these boys, right? Avengers, right? I would want them to see how raw he is as a fighter, how accurate he really is. Like that's the kind of stuff that I would expect to see from Marvel, that I was kind of expecting to see. The story, great storyline, right? I mean, for 2.5 hours, I thought it was all storytelling, but like I said, just not the kind of action that I was expecting to see though, bro.
Yeah, no, I get it. Overall though, what was your score?
Even though you gave it a 5, I would probably say a 6. I think it was better than what you probably would, but I don't look for the things that you do in movies though. Like for me, I look at it and I say, at the end of the day, was I entertained while I was watching it, right? I guess I don't necessarily, it's like, was I entertained? And if this was based off of a plot that I was aware of, how true to that plot is this? So from that perspective, I thought 6. You gave it a 5. I gave it a notch higher because I guess the Gal Gadot alone gave it a 5 to me. The extra was, so here's the stuff that I think that was cool. The things that I thought that I loved was when she brought Homeboy back, right? And when it was his first time seeing things after being dead for 50 years or so, 20 years or something like that. So like when he went down the escalator and everything like that, how cool he thought it was. The scenes of him changing clothes and everything. So that part, that's the part, little things like that just kind of made me laugh. So that's why I had to give that.
So what exactly are we looking at the movie differently from then? Because I rated it off of what was presented.
I think that you and I look at movies differently from a couple of things. I don't really care about the directors. I don't necessarily care about how it ties into the overall this, that, and the other. Like for me,
you just said that you just gave this whole speech about it being consistent with the other movies, but now you're saying you don't care about how it ties into the other movies.
No. What I'm saying is that let's distinguish this one. How we watch movies, and then let's say how we watch Marvel, DC movies are different, right? We may say, let's say when we watch them, Transformers, right? When you and I watch Transformers, I'm looking to say, all right, for one, am I entertained by it, right? And because this movie is mainly CGI, how dope is the CGI? How dope is the graphics? If you check off that I am entertained and the CGI is great, then it's like the third thing is that, okay, well, how does the storyline go, right? Boom. The storyline, am I cool with that? Boom. At that point, once you check off those boxes, you got me as saying, all right, that's like all, if you check all three of those, that's 75, right? So then it's like, well, are there any things that didn't make sense to me? Or if they didn't make sense to me, why they didn't make sense to me? Does it add up? Is there a gap? Those are the things when it comes to like a Transformer movie that I look at and I think, okay. But for Marvel movies, because what I don't do, and what I think a lot of people who are Marvel and DC fans is that it doesn't matter to me as much that they're not completely true to the comic books. That's what I mean by that.
Okay, and I haven't read any Marvel or DC comics, so how is that any different from what you just said though?
So for me, like this is my thing about it. So you might say, for example, well, yeah, the movies, the feel of the movie is different because it was a different director this time around, or it was two direct. Like that part doesn't matter to me, right?
But
Either it
you
is
just
or it
said
isn't.
that you wanted the characters to be consistent. So how?
No, what I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is that if I like this, if I when I say be consistent, right? If I know Black Widow to be if I know Black Widow to be former double agent, right? She is basically like, you know what I'm saying, like she is basically like Mystique, but without necessarily turning, colors or whatever, or shading, whatever. I know that to be true about her. So what you can't do is then say, well, I see her in a movie and she's just weak. She is just like pathetic. She's just everybody's whipping. Like I can't know this about her. And then, then boom, unless you say this is before she became strong, right? So for Wonder Woman in particular, right? Now that I've known her to be the thinker, the leader, it's cool if you show me another aspect of her, right? But at the same time, I still need to see how cold she is. And those are the things that when I guess I don't analyze movies much further than that.
But everything that you said, you still haven't told the difference of what, because what I'm saying is this: I'm looking for consistency. You said you look for consistency. So, but what I'm saying is when I find the inconsistencies, then I want to know why it's inconsistent. So if there was a different director, they had a different take on what it's, for instance, right? When we first saw Thor, he had long hair. He was pretty serious to an extent. He wasn't very, like, his sarcasm was because of his beliefs of, I am a god, this is where I come from, blah, 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 right? So then we get to Thor Ragnarok. He gets his hair cut short. He's making a whole lot more jokes. And so then the Russos were working on Infinity War before Thor Ragnarok came out. So they had to ask Taika, like, yo, how did you use this cat in your movie so that we can make sure that it's consistent enough so that I do care about that. I think that I care about the consistency all the way through. So you just said you care about the consistency.
No, so it wouldn't have. So this is my thing. His sarcasm, that wouldn't have been his newly found sarcasm, wouldn't have been the thing to me.
No.
Like, it wouldn't have been something I would have questioned.
If you saw Thor Dark Knight or Dark World and then saw Thor Ragnarok, where he's jokey and distant, like it's not a full-on comedy show, but you have more laughs in it than you did in like Thor Dark World, right? And then we go back to Infinity War and he's back to being serious again. That would be a little jarring, I think.
It would be more jarring to me if it was somebody like Black Widow who just became the jokester.
Okay.
I guess maybe that's the thing.
Last question. I just want to know, this will tell me all I need to know about you and movies. Did you like Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. That tells me everything I need to know. Because that movie had zero plot until the third act. And you was just entertained. And so that
very entertained by it.
Yeah.
I thought that it was excellent, bro.
That tells me that sums it up right there.
And listen, if I'm gonna keep it funky with you, bro, the Guardians,
don't you say it.
The Guardians, the Guardians too, the two Guardians, they're probably two of my favorite of the Marvels, bro. I listen, bro.
I like the characters of the Guardians. I did not like Guardians 2. I enjoyed the movie. It was fine. It wasn't as low as Iron Man 3, but it definitely is close. And I thoroughly enjoyed them in Infinity War and Endgame. I thought those characters was incredible. So, but I did not enjoy the movie of Guardians 2 for the sake of the consistency of how great the other movies have been. It was in that category of Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3.
Age of Ultron, I was kind of like, that's probably one of the ones where I liked it, but it's not. It's definitely on the. If I had to rate the movies, that one's probably going to be the one that's probably going, and that's assuming that you don't include all the old Spider-Mans, right? And by the way,
Spider-Man starts for the MCU with Tom Holland.
Okay, so I only like Tom Holland. I don't like any of the other Spider-Man.
See, I liked Andy Garfield. Andy Garfield looked like Peter Parker and Spider-Man to me.
No, I think so. The first Spider-Man looks like Spider-Man.
Oh, wait, Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire looks like Peter Parker to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like he would be, his real name would be Peter Parker. But I like this Spider-Man better.
Andrew Garfield to me, I liked the Amazing Spider-Man Part 1. Part 2 with Jamie Foxx was trash.
Oh yeah. Part 1 was dope. Part 2 was probably the reason why I just completely dismissed him on there though, bro.
Yeah, but that wasn't his fault.
Yeah, okay. That wasn't his fault. But yeah, I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, bro. And so I think that I think that if you're excluding all previous Spider-Mans, then
because it's not in the MCU at that time.
And even if you include removing all the old Hulks.
Hulk hasn't there was only one Hulk movie within the MCU.
Okay, so then yeah, the Hulk that Hulk's probably on the bottom of mine too, though.
Yeah. See, I didn't watch Hulk, the one that's in the MCU. I didn't even watch it. Iron Man 3 is trash.
I'm not that mad at Iron Man 3 to be
no, bro. Listen,
that's the one when he's fighting the dude with the whips, the electric whips.
No, that's 2.
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is when the suits, everything gets destroyed and he has this one suit that he's trying to charge the whole entire movie, and then the Mandarin was supposed to be the Mandarin, ended up being the white dude was the Mandarin, and so the guy was just acting. He was an actor, and so then that's when Pepper Potts got the Mandarin powers, and then at the end of the movie, when he's been trying to get this one suit to work, at the end of the movie, about 25 different suits come out of nowhere.
I gotta go back and watch them because I don't remember it being whack, bro.
It's whack,
but
I can't wait for you to see it.
I might have to watch that. I'm gonna try to watch that tonight, though, bro.
I need you to see that he's like trying to work on this one suit the entire movie, bro. And then at the end, all of these suits just come out of nowhere. I'm thinking, like, bro, where did you just get 75 suits from? But you've been trying this whole movie to charge up this one suit. It goes back to your theory about talking about how Neo knew how to do his powers in the second movie. This is the third movie. This is Iron Man, but all we get is Tony Stark the whole movie.
See, I get that. See that, and that's my thing. Like, I understand that you want to, because it's dual characters, right? You basically have two leading characters, the Iron Man and then Tony Stark. I can see where you're going with that, though, man. But I don't know. But that Guardian, though, bro. Listen. I like Guardians, though, bro. I'm talking about. I really like Guardians, though, bro.
I like Ant-Man better than Guardians, bro.
You know what's funny, man? I don't think I've ever even watched Ant-Man and the Wasp all the way through.
It was okay. That one was okay. It wasn't a deep fall off. I thought that everybody that they brought in was cool. I thought the villain was cool. I thought the use of the suits and everything was cool, and it set up Endgame very well.
Yes, I agree. Let me say this, and we can switch it off that one. The one thing I do love about Ant-Man, so that makes it. So this is what I think. So I think that every movie, the one thing I think that's cool is that not just the storylines and the plots being different. What I love about the Marvels is that every movie has their own thing, right? Like that they only do this in this movie, right? So the thing that I love in Ant-Man is, what's my guy, the Mexican guy, when he tells a story they tell it with somebody, that is epic though, bro. I've always thought that would be dope for us to do something like that. I think that is so dope.
So because you say you don't care about directors, I have to tell you this. So the guy who directed the Ant-Man, both the Ant-Mans in the Mandalorian, he directed the episode with the spiders, and he directed the episode with Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
Same director.
Yeah, that Luke Skywalker popping up on the Mandalorian was cool. Cold. Probably one of the best things that happened in 2020, though, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man. So this I know that we wanted to get into the playoffs, but hey, man, we got that's coming on up this weekend, man. We got a couple things to get into because I just got a notification, man, that the Grammy Awards was postponed. Man, Devontae Smith won the Heisman Trophy, the wide receiver from Alabama, which I clearly thought he was the best player all season long. First wide receiver to win it in I don't know how many years, though, bro. But we got some things to get into on Friday, though, man, that we can hold off on. I know that we want to get into a little bit of sports, but listen, we could check that for the next time around, though.
We got to get into these Longhorns.
Oh my gosh! Did you see Sam Elliger's leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that was coming. Once what's his name got fired, I knew Sam was gone. He wasn't trying.
Yeah, I can see that because he recruited. He was an original Tom Herman recruit, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey man, well let's get on up out of here, man. We need to get the music to hit the intro. Let's get that music to get us out of here, though, bro. Because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all